everyone. Welcome back to the Film Buzz podcast. This is episode number 3, and my name is Henry.
And this is Braden.
And it is, again, just the two of us. Today, Mr. Will Davies couldn't make it, but he's going to try and make it again for next week. He's just a little too busy. But thank you so much for being with us. We are going to be reviewing Baby Driver and Bong Joon-ho's new Netflix movie, Okja. So as well as some other things. So we hope you'll stick around. And we are recording, just for people in the area, we are recording in the Chelsea Theater in the wonderful Chapel Hill. And so if you do hear some weird background sounds, we're outside of a store, outside of a theater, and there's walkways and all that. So sorry if there's any ambient noise, but we'll do our best to limit that. But anyways, Braden, how the hell are you?
Okay, better this week than I was last, because at least these were watchable films as opposed to that garbage dumpster fire that Transformers was. So a bit better of a mood this week than last. I'll put it that way. And
so I guess we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but you have received potentially start a new job, but you so who knows? We'll see. Could be leaving us out. We don't know. But anyways, anything been going on lately, or just usual stuff?
Usual stuff. Same old, same old.
Yeah.
Slinging popcorn, cleaning floors. The usual. So nothing too exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think we all had a pretty long fucking weekend this past week with that. It was a little bit
with the fourth?
Busy. Yeah. With that new documentary showing and all that. It was a lot to deal with.
Particularly good/bad. Good for the theater. We showed a documentary, Raising Bertie, which one of the producers on that was a former employee of ours here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so he came in and did a Q&A, which was spectacular, and the issue itself, about families living in sort of poor rural communities and some young men there trying to sort of, I think, rise above their environment. And so, it's a good film, good message, and we had a lot of turnout for it, which was good. However, big crowds like that, people inevitably get cranky.
Yeah.
Anger is always a difficult thing. So, but it was good to have the crowds, and it was good to show the film, because it's a good film and a good message. And so, it was interesting, but if I had hair to pull out, I would have been pulling it out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, over at the coffee shop, we had some of that overflow, and so that was real fun. So, but it was good that the business, it did well. So that's all you can really ask for. But should I mention the little altercation? Remember the other day?
The fist fight? What was that?
The potential fist fight.
The potential fist fight. Okay.
So, I guess for anyone listening out there, just quick story, we'll get to the movie soon. So, there are these two gentlemen, one afternoon, I guess it was on maybe a Monday or a Sunday, and they all of a sudden started raising their voices very loudly, and I was about to, make like the Terminator and go ask them to lower their voices, please. But luckily, after about 30 seconds of causing a ruckus in the shop, they kindly left and then started bickering outside. Then they went over towards the Chelsea here, bickered for a while, and somehow a mug was broken, and apparently maybe a single punch was thrown, maybe, don't know. But then the best part, this is what I love, absolutely love. So we see them walking away towards their cars, and then they get into their cars and start to drive away. And as one of the guys is about to pull out in his vehicle, he looks out the window and yells at the guy. He's not done yelling at him, and so he speeds off like crazy, and that was the end of it. But a real exciting time for a very slow day. So that it's rare we ever have anything like that happen. So, and we still don't know what it was about, because these men were talking in, I think it was maybe Arabic or Farsi or something like that, and so had no idea what they were fucking saying, but it seemed very heated. So
I wasn't even. I wish I heard the mug smash, but I just attributed it to because there was quite a bit of a crowd out front and some children running around. So I thought it was just general chaos that ensues when you have a crowd. I didn't realize there was this whole altercation going on until maybe 45 minutes, an hour later, an police officer shows up, asking questions. Yeah, wanting answers, asking some questions about that. So we spoke with him briefly, but none of us really saw a whole heck of a lot other than the screaming and the yelling and the frantic waving of hands. So life's not dull. Life's not never dull moment.
It's about 95% dull around here, and then 5% is not. But that was definitely one of the more exciting things to happen recently. Other than that, Braden, anything want to bring up?
No. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So just moving along, singing a song, whatever.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do
in this life anymore. All right. Well, I guess without further ado, let's get to our review of Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, and we've got a clip. Let's take a listen.
So you're just starting your day, or did you just get off?
Oh, I don't know if I ever get off. They call, I go,
So what is it you do?
I'm a driver.
Oh, like a chauffeur. You drive around important people.
I guess I do.
Anyone I'd know?
I hope not.
Well, aren't you mysterious?
Maybe.
Maybe. So when was the last time you hit the road just for fun?
Yesterday.
I'm jealous. Sometimes all I want to do is head west on 20 in a car I can't afford with a plan I don't have. Just me, my music, and the road.
I'd like that too.
All right, so Baby Driver is directed by Edgar Wright and stars Ansel Elgort, John Bernthal, Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, Eliza Gonzalez, and Kevin Spacey, as well as maybe a few other people, minor people.
Flea. Flea. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Flea's in it.
Oh, I had no
You
idea.
didn't?
No, I'm not a huge... I mean, I don't listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers all that often, so I don't...
Flea.
If it was Green Day, if it was someone from Green Day in there, I would know it, but not Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Flea. He was in The Big Lebowski.
As who?
The weird guy with the weasel. He shoves the dude into the tub and throws the what is it? The weasel, the mongoose, whatever that is, in the tub with him.
What shit? What is it? A ferret.
It's a ferret. Yeah,
that's the one. For listeners who don't know, Green Day is the best. I absolutely love them to death, but we won't get into it. Anyways, all right, so the IMDb plot synopsis for Baby Driver is, after being coerced into working for a crime boss, a young getaway driver finds himself taking part in a heist doomed to fail. Braden, what did you think of Edgar Wright's Baby Driver?
Fantastic. I mean, it was really a fun, pardon the pun here, it was a really fun ride. Mm-hmm. But getting away from the really horrible sort of Peter Travers catchline phrase things here, it was quite well done. I mean, I've always enjoyed Edgar Wright's films, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Spectacular. I did kind of enjoy Tintin, but mostly because I read the comics as a kid. Mm-hmm. Not a spectacular film, but I did enjoy it. I'm trying to think of what else he did.
Edgar Wright?
Yeah.
The Cornetto trilogy. So wait, which ones did you just mention?
Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Tintin.
And he only co-wrote Tintin. Spielberg did.
Right. Spielberg directed.
Then he did it at the World's End, which is the final in the Cornetto trilogy.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, which I liked The World's End. I didn't think it was quite as sort of sharp.
Same
in terms of the parody as
the first two,
Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, but it was still a good film to watch. I always like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, mm-hmm. and Edgar Wright does really spectacular vehicles for the two of them. So
yeah.
It was fun. It was clever. It was sort of a good heist film. I thought the characters were really well fleshed out. The use of music, which, there are so many films and they like to tie in music, but rather than it being a strictly nostalgia thing here, I mean, the baby's backstory and how music ties into that, I thought that was fascinating. And so the scenes I thought were shot well. The acting was really spectacular all around. I really enjoyed Kevin Spacey.
See, I actually wasn't crazy about Kevin Spacey.
Really?
I
No?
felt he felt off to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good as sort of the creepy.
Yeah, well, maybe kind of more hit and miss. Maybe not. I didn't think it was bad, but just not as. Anyways, go on.
Oh no, but I thought it was all around an excellently done film. Is it a timeless classic?
Yeah, some people would seem to think so.
Some people would seem to think so. I don't know that it's a timeless classic, but I would say it's an important film to watch. It's something it's going to be around for a while. It's sort of a touchstone for modern crime caper things. It's it has a very different sort of take from what was that Spike Lee film? The one
Chirac?
No, it was the one about Jodie Foster's in it. It's about the guys.
Oh, Inside Man?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Brilliant film. And I sort of hold that as the apex of modern sort of crime, drama, thriller things. But Baby Driver obviously has a different angle on that. Edgar Wright being Edgar Wright, he's a little more clever, fun, buoyant. And so I thought this was definitely a good film. Definitely go see it in the theater, maybe even catch it twice. The driving scenes, which are the focus of the action, are spectacular. So,
for sure.
So, what were your thoughts? If you didn't like Spacey, who'd you like?
Well, I mean, I guess so. I say I was not wowed by the trailer. I was really not. I was like, ugh, it's just and I do like Edgar Wright. I love Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Not crazy about Scott Pilgrim. Do like The World's End a good bit, but not as much as the other two. Like we were just saying. I mean, overall I enjoyed the movie. I thought the first half felt off to me, like it was kind of like tonally, and also the humor in the movie, it just wasn't working for me. Like
really,
like I think I really miss Simon Pegg's comedic voice from the Cornetto trilogy, because he co-wrote all three of those movies with Edgar Wright, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love those movies so much, is because of Simon Pegg.
His sense of humor.
Yeah, and because I felt like with this, it was mostly pretty flat for me, which, I mean, it's not like the biggest thing in the movie, obviously, but compared to his other works, I was a little let down. And also, I mean, I'll get the things I liked in a second, but one thing I just was not crazy about Ansel Elgort. He had this, he tried to do this very weird kind of gravelly voice at times, like, yeah, do you need me to drive? And he's just this kind of like relatively wimpy looking kid, like teenage kid, and he's like, yeah, yeah, do you need me to do that? And it's like it's trying to be, I don't know, Al Pacino or something. Yeah. And so I wasn't crazy about him for the most part. I liked really everyone else. I liked Jamie Foxx, which usually I don't. I liked him. I like John Hamm. Huge Mad Men fan, so I like to follow his work when I can. But yeah, like the first half just felt like it was. I couldn't tell if. Also, it felt like in that opening scene where he's dancing and there's the music playing, I couldn't tell if. Okay, are we supposed to think this guy's a really cool hip guy, or is it just like this guy is such a nerd? I couldn't tell if it was which one it was, and I feel like it wanted to make a certain point. Did you have a...
I'm kind of with you on that. The Ansel Elgort character, it was a little hard to follow because, one scene he's dancing around, the next scene he's acting like sort of, I guess, mildly autistic, not speaking. He's got his earbuds plugged in. Yeah. And then he does this little Rain Man thing, Kevin Spacey says, "What did I just say?" And he just rattles off word for word exactly what Kevin Spacey had just said. So the character's a bit all over the map. I guess, again, the intent is to show some sort of complexity to the character. Oh, he's this kind-hearted soul, and he's got sort of still this boyish charm to him, and all this kind of, he likes to dance around, and he takes good care of his deaf-mute foster father, and all this kind of
I
stuff.
I like that character.
Yeah, I like that character, and I like the relationship between the two of them.
Same. With the sign language and
yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that really sort of again plays up or shows up the concept of sound, music within the film. But yeah, he's a little hard to follow because sometimes he seems a little detached, and then other times he's very much connected, and then sometimes he's very cool and charming. Like the first time he meets his love interest, he's like, I wish I had that kind of ease with women. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's just charming. He knows the right thing to say all the time, and then other times he doesn't say it. I don't, and again, I guess it's trying to display complexity of the character, but it occasionally comes across as a little too disjointed in a way.
Yeah, I mean, and I just felt like, particularly in the first half, the movie just felt like I was trying a little bit too hard to be cool and stylized. I really found Edgar Wright's direction good and refreshing, particularly compared to Transformers or The Mummy or all these movies that just have no real artistic or personal stamp on them. Edgar Wright directed this movie incredibly well. I just don't know if certain parts of it matched his skill.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because it's sort of the aesthetic thing of. The best way to put it is the Marvel Cinematic Universe versus DC. You've got something like Transformers, which is just grindingly harsh and depressing, and all these dark, saturated, dark colors, and it's just mankind fighting for its last,
Yeah, it's awful.
And then you've got something like Baby Driver, right, which is more sort of along the Marvel Cinematic Universe aesthetic, which is there's vibrancy in color and buoyancy and movement and dynamism, rather than just sort of grinding, oppressive gloom and doom all the time.
Although I'm getting a little tired of that kind of televisual look to a lot of the Marvel movies, like Captain America: Civil War and Doctor Strange. It just feels a little. It's colorful, yeah, but it just feels kind of digital. Whereas, I mean, while Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, they aren't perfect and visually aren't perfect either. I kind of like those a little more, but I know exactly what you mean. So go on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there's a place for gloom and doom, and I don't know. It's just there seems to be a drastic dichotomy. Those seem to be the only two visual styles now.
Yeah,
which is. It's just that the more buoyant, vibrant one hasn't really worn me down yet, whereas the gloom and doom, because it is so oppressive, it does sort of weigh down on me. Plus, frankly, it's probably worn on me because I associate it so much with the DC films, which have generally been pretty abysmal. Except for Wonder Woman.
I loved Wonder Woman. And I like the others, but I know, yeah. But I did think Baby Driver looked good. Good. I mean, it's not overly colorful, but it's just a pretty natural palette, really.
Yeah. So it was fun to watch. I thought the action sequences were good.
Yeah, and a lot of practical ones too.
Yeah, which is I'm a huge fan of the return to practical effects. I'm so tired of the overuse of CG. So it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch. So,
but yeah, getting back into my personal take. But I did there's an arm steal about the midway through the movie. Then after that, I was in because it felt like it had a serious tone or just a defined tone, and it just went for it. I mean, sure, there's some goofy stuff towards the end, but it's felt like it knew exactly what it wanted to be. Whereas it felt like the first half was just kind of all over the place. But I really did like the end action sequence with John Hamm. Spoiler. Fuck. That's kind of shit. Spoiler. Sorry.
Spoiler. Retroactive. Spoiler.
So the fight drive with the in the parking garage with an unnamed person. Baby Driver. And I really liked that a lot, and how it ended. And even just from a visual standpoint, it was really cool. It had some all those blink, red blinking, because there's a police car involved, and it's at night, and it's interesting. Oh shit! Sorry, there are these people outside talking. Fucking go away. Anyways, but yeah, I really liked. There wasn't as much musical stuff, quote unquote, as I was expecting. Like it
Really?
seemed, like yeah. I mean, there's plenty of music, but it's like, just it wasn't as used as cleverly or as interestingly as I was hoping. Like I really like. There's one scene where John Hamm is shooting an assault rifle at people, and it lines up with the bullet shots line up with
With the beat from
the beat
what
from
was
the
that?
song
Hocus Pocus by the band Focus, I think. Go
sounds,
figure. Hocus
yeah,
Pocus,
that sounds
Pocus.
right. And it lines up with even some of the editing, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like bang, 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 and it's just really interesting. I liked all that stuff. Maybe not as much as there could have been. So I mean, I definitely liked how it was kind of choreographed with music, and I liked that. Was again another refreshing thing about this movie. I definitely didn't hate this movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the more interesting movies of the summer for sure so far. I mean, probably not in my favorites of the year, and I don't know if it's as amazing as people think it is, or at least I don't. But yeah, I mean, it was. We were talking a little while ago about pacing. So yeah, I mean, the first half is. I mean, I thought the whole movie was paced pretty well. It's just I didn't feel that engaged in the first half, whereas the second half I was in,
Yeah.
But I did like kind of switching gears. I did really like Lily James, who's the girlfriend of
As Deborah, right? Deborah.
yes,
Yeah.
the girlfriend of Ansel Elgort, and because she's from if you don't recognize the name, she's from Downton Abbey, and she was also Cinderella in the live action. Disney one from a couple years ago, so she's kind of been doing some other stuff since. But I guess Downton Abbey was her first start. Yeah, I liked her, and I liked their relationship. And there are these short period, like dream sequences. The first one's in black and white. Mm-hmm. Then there's another one in color, which I liked. Just kind of a cool, stylish scene.
Yeah.
Like anything 1950s is awesome, or it could have been 60s. Yeah, and I did like, like I said, I like John Hamm. And yeah, I found most of the characters interesting. It just, a lot of the dialogue felt out of place, like it was, again, trying too hard or felt like it could have been in a different movie, whereas other stuff felt completely wonderfully over the top, and then other stuff just felt off. I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, I sort of agree with that. I think the first half of the film is more interested in character development than in putting together the story and the tension that comes later in the film. And so the first half of the film, you get the introduction to Baby, obviously, to the John Hamm character, the Eliza Gonzalez character, Kevin Spacey's character, and then after that crew, then you meet Bats, the Jamie Foxx character, and then once all these players are lined up and then brought together, that's when the real tension boils up.
Yeah.
Baby and his love interest Deborah become embroiled in this whole crazy underworld scheming double crossing thing. And he's worried about endangering Deborah, and I mean, it moves on from there, and then that's when things become really interesting.
Yeah.
And the introduction of the characters would be sort of slow and dull, except for so many of these characters and the actors portraying them are so fascinating. Like all of the, Bats, Buddy, the John Hamm character, Darling, the Eliza Gonzalez, they're all actually interesting characters in their own right.
Yeah.
And so that makes the introduction and development of those characters at least worthwhile. It's not simply a throwaway part of the film. It's slower. It's not really exactly pertinent to what happens later in the film, but it's interesting and it sets up what will happen. Yeah. So it's at least it doesn't feel as though it's a completely sort of throwaway aspect to the film, like so much, in the Transformers was. I mean, this most recent one, I didn't even feel as though there was any character development. The one person that there was some sort of character development, which was the young girl, Isabella, I think. I forget what her name was.
I don't know.
but besides her, it seemed like there was no character development, and her character was developed only so briefly, and then she just drops out of the film anyways.
Yeah. And with not even, I mean, we're ragging on Transformers, but I mean, even a lot of other summer movies, like you didn't see The Mummy, right?
No, I didn't have that.
That's another movie, which I'm not expecting like deep, crazy character development, but so many. It's just all plot. Mm-hmm. You don't learn anything about the characters. It's just so kind of mind-numbing and boring after a while. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing I definitely did like about Baby Driver. At least it had some established characters, relatively memorable, and yeah, I mean, it's fun. That's another nice thing about it. It's fun. Yeah. For the most part, so
it's an enjoyable film to watch. I mean, and you don't go in just for the special effects. You actually become sort of invested in the film because of those characters. Mm-hmm. You go like a film like Transformers. Like I would go to watch that for the special effects, but what would really invest me, what would really draw me into the film, is if they had strong characters and good story.
Yeah.
And so Baby Driver, you watch the ads, you go, oh, some cool car chase scenes, and you go in for the car chase scenes, but as opposed to some of these other films, it does a good job with the story, and it does a good job with the character development. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you go for the car chase, and you stay for the character development in the story.
Yeah. So
that's what draws me in.
I did the other day. I started watching the first Transformers. Mm-hmm. I was like, the first 30 minutes. And it's pretty decent. Mm-hmm. But then I paused it to go get something, and it's like 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm like, this is why people don't like these movies.
Yeah.
They start off decent, and then you still have 2.5 hours more to go. So enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, Baby Driver was, I think, under 2 hours, so that was nice.
It was hour 50 something.
And I guess it's Sony. They're asking him to do a sequel, or they want him to do a sequel. Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, so they want him to, and apparently he says, like, there's more to do with these characters, as Edgar Wright says, I'm sure. But, so could possibly, I mean, the movie's not doing amazing, but it's doing, I think, decent enough where if Sicario, which didn't do well, can get two sequels, then...
Well, I mean, Sicario, I'm sorry, it was a brilliant film.
It's amazing.
Critics absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It was Benicio del Toro. It was amazing.
Yeah, but same thing with this movie. It's at like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and... So, I mean, people, I think, at least critics in particular, are loving it. But I think a lot of people I know this is like the best movie of the year, which is understandable. Definitely not.
Emily Blunt, that's Sicario.
Yeah.
Who's also amazing.
Yeah, she's so good.
Brolin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a remarkable film.
If you haven't seen Sicario, it's on maybe on Amazon. Go watch it.
Absolutely, go watch it. I don't know why do they keep making sequels for films that necessarily don't need them?
Because Hollywood is dead. And they have no more original ideas.
I mean, Sicario was a brilliant enough film, and it wrapped up everything.
Yeah.
Blade Runner, right?
Yeah.
Wrapped up everything. So why do you need a sequel, especially 30 years down the road?
Maybe money. I mean, it's all money, but...
And now Baby Driver. I mean, I guess... Blade Runner is just, I think, a straight-up sequel. But the other films, Sicario, from what I understand, they're focusing more on the Benicio del Toro character, whereas Sicario itself, the original, was more focused on the Emily Blunt character.
Right.
So I can kind of see that, and I think if they did the same thing with a Baby Driver sequel, where Baby drops out of the picture and they focus more on... frankly, I'd like to see more of Buddy's backstory and how he got to know Darling and how the two of them
wound
up...
interesting. Yeah.
Together.
I'd watch that.
And in this sort of crime life spree thing.
Yeah.
But if you want to do something, don't necessarily do a sequel. I don't know if I call it a spin-off, but something to broaden the universe out a bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, as long as Edgar Wright directs it, I'd be down. Maybe get Simon Pegg to help you co-write it. Just ask him. He's probably not that busy.
Yeah.
Ask him, and
He's not that busy.
He's not in demand at all. He's not
a hot item. That last Star Trek film was just terrible.
He just co-wrote it also, and apparently he might be writing the fourth one as well. There's some.
Well, that's what I thought.
It's all up in the air if the fourth one's even happening. I really loved the third one.
I thought it was a done deal. I thought the fourth one is a done deal.
Yeah. Apparently Chris Hemsworth is supposed to come back, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's supposed to be playing Kirk's father again. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so get Edgar Wright, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Get Simon over there and help you write.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. But one issue I'm having with this year, at least so far, I'm sure there's some great stuff in July coming out, so I'm really excited, like Dunkirk and War for the Planet of the Apes and all those. But just like so many of these movies, even if I really like it in the theater, it's like a week after, which I'm like a week removed from it now, it's like completely out of my brain. Usually. You know, and there's just, I guess, Logan definitely resonated with me, and then I'd say like A Cure for Wellness, and
I still need to go see that.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's good. And something. There's some others, but yeah, like Alien Covenant, Wonder Woman. Even I loved watching them in the theater, and now it's gone. Which I mean, it's summer, done. But it's. I was kind of hoping a little bit more so far this year.
They don't really stick in the back of your mind the way some other films.
No. But yeah, no, there are some cool indie movies coming out soon. Maybe hoping that'll do it. And I guess Okja, which we'll be talking about. Yeah. I guess that was for me.
Which indie films are you thinking about?
A Ghost Story.
Ghost Story,
which I love David Lowery, who did Pete's Dragon, which is a good movie, and then Ain't Them Body Saints with Mara and Affleck, who are in A Ghost Story. Yeah. And I think we're going to try and review that on the show at some point. Because it just got, I think it got a 4 out of 4 on Roger Ebert's website. So I think it's clearly doing well.
Yeah, I've read a few reviews of it, and they seem to really love it. I think, who was it? Anthony Lane in the New Yorker. I read his review, and he really, really liked Ghost Story.
Oh, nice.
So.
But yeah, then I think there's some others from that A24 production company, and but yeah. So anyways, so the year's been a little underwhelming so far, but.
Well,
this one was nice.
There are a few. I mean, those films that you just mentioned, Ghost Story. There's 3 billboards outside of Ebbings, Missouri.
Right,
which I'm kind of excited about.
You're a big. What's that director's name?
I can't remember for the life of me right now. He did In Bruges and he did Seven Psychopaths. Yeah. Seven Psychopaths was fun. In Bruges was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Who was that? That was Colin Farrell and Ray Fiennes, and I think it was Brendan Gleeson.
That sounds right.
And I mean, the ensemble cast was remarkable. It was a beautiful film, very elegiac in its storytelling. Just a spectacular film. And so I'm really, hoping that Billboards, outside of yada yada yada, very long title, is sort of a return to form. Because Seven Psychopaths was not a bad film, but In Bruges set the bar so high. But then, we've also got Dark Tower, which I'm super excited about. Yeah. Blade Runner, which I'm somewhat excited about. Yeah. Because I still think Ryan Gosling is a spectacular actor. Even if I don't watch all the films that he does, La La Land can go take a leap off of. Anyhow. But Drive
is awesome.
Is amazing. And so,
have you seen The Place Beyond the Pines?
No, I've got that on Netflix. I need to watch that. Yeah.
If you haven't seen that movie, people, go out and watch that. That's it may be on Amazon, something
it's
fucking like
on
that. But
Netflix. They just picked it up recently, so I need to go see that.
Yeah. Get that one.
I can't watch stuff I want to watch because I'm too busy watching movies for this.
I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Curse you.
Damn it.
But yeah, I like Ryan Gosling a lot, and so and I really like the director's cut, at least, of Blade Runner. So
we were talking about that last week.
So, so there's Dark Tower,
and Atomic Blonde, which we'll be getting into a little bit, but that looks it's like John Wick, but Charlize Theron is the best. Yeah, it's just it's gonna be fun. She's
awesome.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. Mad Max Fury Road, best thing ever.
I loved her in Alien Prometheus.
Oh yeah, she's great in that.
She's great in that.
A Young Adult. Have you seen Young Adult yet?
No, I haven't.
That's probably one of her better ones too.
I've heard she's quite good in that.
Yeah, and Monster, which is the big witch's Oscar winner.
Amazing performance in that. Yeah. So.
But there's definitely some interesting things to come this year. So it's not like this year's a piece of shit. I'm just saying. It's kind of been
nothing so far.
Nothing really sticking. I think Dunkirk is going to be get that 70 millimeter screening. Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
Don't get me started on actual film stuff. When Christopher Nolan is a projectionist and has to deal with brain wraps, and several hundred feet of film wrapping itself around shit, and flaming up
Yeah.
and burning through, and he's got an angry audience, then he can get high and mighty about the wonders of film stock.
It's going to be amazing, yeah.
But, all these guys, Quentin Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, who refused to give up.
Fucking guys, you know? Get the fuck out. Just
You know, when they actually have to project in front of an audience of hundreds of people and deal with a brain rap, then they can wax poetic about the wonders of film. Until then, they can stick stuff where sun don't shine.
Don't shine.
But I think there's some spectacular films. I'm super excited about Warfield Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, the praise for that one has been
Really through the roof, yeah.
and just getting better and better. So I just rewatched Rise on 4K, and that one was I'd forgotten how that one's very good. I like Dawn a little more, and so I'm sure War will be fantastic. So I can't wait.
Well, see, that's the thing is I agree with you. So far this year, there have been some good films, but nothing has really stuck with. I mean, Wonder Woman was good, but none of the characters really, other than Wonder Woman herself, none of the characters really stuck with me. I mean, even the Chris Pine character.
Yeah.
He's
charming,
just sort of, he's charming, but he's sort of he's a throwaway character. But Baby Driver, at least, you know, it feels as though that's going to stick with me a little more. I think the character is a little more interesting, and so that's really the first film that, I mean, and I love the Alien series, and I thought Covenant was spectacular, but other than the Michael Fassbender characters that he plays, David and Walter.
Walter, that's right.
David and Walter. Other than those two characters,
they're nothing.
Yeah.
They're just, I mean, it's a horror movie, so it's obviously
everybody's going to die.
So we don't want you to get to know them too well because we just want to have people to kill off, which is understandable.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, actually. This is the first time I've seen really James Franco in anything for a while, and you don't even really see James Franco.
But, well, the thing is, he's been like, he does like 10 or 15 movies a year, then he directs stuff and he writes stuff. And so, like, if you go to his IMDb page, which I was actually just looking at here before I came, it's like he has like 10 credits upcoming. Mm-hmm. And most of them don't really get releases, like wide releases, but he's still like the busiest guy in Hollywood right now.
Incredibly prolific,
for better or worse.
Yeah. He's done some good stuff, but it's just funny because I haven't really seen him in anything, and then he shows up in Alien Covenant, but he doesn't really show up in Alien Covenant. You see him once, which is in a clip of some footage that one of the characters has, and then he's in a little pod and bursts into
which
flames.
is distracting. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know?
So you get to see char-grilled James Franco, which I'm sure some audience members out there are applauding.
I love. Great. Lovely.
But, so I agree with you. I think none of these films stick with me, but I think Baby Driver, at least so far, has left more of an impression than a lot of the other films.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing, and we'll wrap it up, I guess, is when the violence used in the movie was effective. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's R-rated, and so I mean, there's some decent violence in the movie, and I thought it was used effectively when it was not overly gory, but still, I mean, visually effective, I guess, if that makes sense. Anything else?
No, I agree with you. The violence, there's some gunplay, but it's very minor. You know, people get shot, but it's not gory. You don't see bullets flying through bodies or anything like that. And the focus of the action is mostly the races, the chasing. And I mean, one of the big action pieces in the film, there's a little gunplay, but Ansel Elgort's character is on foot, and so you get a foot chase, which you don't get in a lot of films these days. Mm-hmm. You know, you got that in some of the Bourne films, right? Mm-hmm. But other than that, I can't think of a lot of films where there's a big foot chase kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Sorry, there's a fly flying. He's flying around here. We're just trying to swat him off. Foot chase was probably, even though it's called Baby Driver, the foot chase was great.
Yeah. So I mean, the action sequences are chases rather than focusing on like bang bang guns. Ha ha ha. Boo, 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 boo.
There's my friend Gemma. I told her that I would wave to her when she left, but she can't see me. Hi. One thing about the driving now. I'm obviously biased because it's like my favorite movie, but after Mad Max, Fury Road, most car chases are just so underwhelming. Because, I mean, with what Fury Road did, which is obviously so much more than these movies, but it's just like, it's just not always as interesting. Because I'm like, oh yeah, they did that better. Which, I know it's kind of, maybe not the best way to phrase it, but, I mean, but the stuff in Baby Driver is still interesting, still fun, and I like the one where he's, like, during that Michael Myers bit, and they drives around.
He's driving in front of like a 45-degree angle along the bank.
That was cool. I really like that. And I did not like the opening scene where he's dancing in the car. It felt like Brad Pitt in Burn After Reading, where he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, it's just like another thing where it was confusing if, I don't know if he's cool, if we're supposed to be laughing at him, blah, blah, blah. But anyways.
Think he's a dork, think he's cool.
Yeah, like, make up your mind, you know. Yeah. You got, that's about it?
No, it's. I think it's well worth a watch, and as I said, it's definitely stuck with me more than a lot of the other films.
So yeah, if you're trying to figure out a movie to go see, I'd pick that one. Or you can stay at home to watch Okja, one or the other. So, all right. Braden, what are you going to give this out of 4 stars?
Out of 4 stars, I'd definitely give Baby Driver 3 1/4, 3.5. So I thought it was a really good film. At least 3, but I mean, as I said, I'd probably go even a little higher than 3.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, it'd be definitely, it's like a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd for me, but like I guess maybe a hard 3 or a light 3.5 out of 4. You know, pretty good. Yeah, again, like pretty cool movie, just not amazing. So yeah, all right. Well, with that all done and over with, let's get into our review of Okja, and we've got a clip for this one as well. So take a quick listen.
Hello, I'm Lucy Mirando of the Mirando Corporation. Maybe the Mirando vision has already found its way into your home. There's our organic harvesting and peachy delight baking goods. And don't forget our Happy Pup treats. What a good boy. Then there's the innovative behind-the-scenes research we conduct over at Mirando Transformatives and the Mirando Animal Wellness Center. My scientists have discovered that while Mirando pigs dream peaceful and lovely dreams, those less fortunate pigs suffer from the most dreadful night terrors. We cannot know for certain what pigs' nightmares are like, but perhaps they're something like this. Pigs deserve happy dreams, just like the rest of us.
All right. So Okja is directed by Bong Joon-ho. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Tilda Swinton, Paul Dano, and Seo Hyun-an. I think it's, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but that is the young girl in the movie, the main character. And so the IMDb plot synopsis is a young girl who risks everything to prevent a powerful multinational company from kidnapping her best friend, a massive animal named Okja. So, Braden, what do you think of Okja?
First of all, disclaimer, if we butcher any of the Korean pronunciations, very, very sorry.
Very.
I've been to Korea, and I still find the language very difficult. You noticed how Okja and Mija, the name of the young girl, in the Korean pronunciations, it was something like Okjaya and Mijaya.
Yeah.
And there's no, the anglicized writing of it, there's no Y or anything like that, but it sounds like there's a Y in the Korean pronunciation. Anyhow, it's just weird. Okja.
Shoot, sorry.
It was charming. I mean, it was charming. It had a really sort of wonderful fairy tale quality to it, which again, that's why it was so charming. But beyond that, it got too muddled. It was trying to do too much, too many messages, and it gets too muddled. And I don't know what Bong Joon-ho was trying to tell us in it, but it seemed as though he was trying to tell us so many different things, and all of these messages sort of ended up conflicting with one another. And he tried making a fairy tale, but throwing a lot of sort of more mature sort of complexity into it, and then that just confused things too much. And so I thought, it's a charming film, it's fun to watch, but, you know, it gets a little too convoluted, a little too complex, and then all of that sort of washes out in the end. And then it just returns to a very simple black and white dichotomous good, bad kind of message in the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I don't want to say it was an absolute disaster of a film, but it wasn't what it could have been or should have been.
All right, well, I can say why I love the movie. It's not perfect. I love the movie, though. And now this isn't some, like, oh, gosh, the animals are being mistreated. I have to do this. But so I've been, since I saw it this Wednesday before last, and sorry, there's some fucking people talking over here, so sorry if you hear some chatter. Sorry. But anyways, since I saw it the Wednesday before last, I'm vegetarian. Like, honestly.
I can't associate with you anymore.
Yeah, I am. And I'm sure Will, who's, you know, our co-host, if he's listening, he's probably just passed out because he has cookouts with massive amounts of meat every week. He takes it super seriously.
He loves his meat.
And all power to him, and it's only been a week, so it's not like I'm Mr. Cool Guy or King of the Castle over here. But yeah, so I just, because the way they make it out to be, there's scenes towards the end that are not crazy disturbing, but they're still visually pretty visceral. And it's just, but it's presented, the killings at the end, it's like, what if you saw your own pet going into a slaughterhouse? At least that's how I saw it. Because it's this little girl seeing her wonderful Okja super pig.
Yeah.
Essentially being led into these horrible situations. And so I was just like, and my dog was with me at the time. I was like, I can't do it. Can't do it, Brayden. Can't do it. And since then, I haven't had any meat. But usually I would be like a meat a day kind of guy. Usually like turkey and things like that. But yeah, so it had that effect on me. And there have been other movies like it that have tried to almost like literally scare you into becoming vegetarian, like Fast Food Nation. Did you ever see that?
No, I haven't seen
awful.
that.
Terrible.
I should watch it just to watch it.
It's super self-serious and kind of patronizing, and but it was almost, for me, it was like a blend between Steven Spielberg as something like E.T.
Right.
And Hayao Miyazaki with like Spirited Away.
Right.
And
well, that's
My Neighbor Totoro kind of has because like the design of Okja feels very Miyazakian.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a super pig, and it looks more like some sort of weird hippopotamus hybrid thing than it does a pig. Mm-hmm. And it had very much sort of an anime, particularly a Miyazaki sensibility to it. Sort of, this fantastical childhood tale. Which again, the thing is, you have this wonderful, fantastical tale, and then it sort of muddies things. The whole point to the Super Pig project was you've got this Mirando Corporation, which is run by Tilda Swinton's character, which she and her twin sister, that's something else I'll get into briefly in a bit. But you've got this Mirando Corporation, you've got, I think it's Lucy is the sweet, angelic one. Lucy Mirando, who puts together the Super Pig project, and the whole point to the Super Pig project was trying to create an animal that leaves a minimal ecological footprint while providing as much nutritious animal protein as possible. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of the Super Pig project was to try to mass produce this animal, which would then be able to put a dent into starvation situations around the world.
Right.
And so, again, you've got this message creating these animals in order to stave off starvation, to fight food shortages around the world, to stop starvation, to try to feed everybody. That's a noble thing. Mm-hmm. And then it has all these depictions of, then the company turns out to be evil, and the twin sister, Tilda Swinton, who plays the Nancy Miranda, the evil business-minded twin sister. Yeah. She ends up taking over the company at the end, and all of a sudden it turns into slaughter town, killing animals.
Come on, Brayden.
So what is the point? What is Bong Joon-ho trying to say there? We should stop eating meat?
I think it's like a commentary on ethics of food consumption, and if you're gonna be mindful of what you're eating. Be aware where it comes from.
Okay, not to politicize things again, but I think those are only luxuries we have in the first world. First world problems.
Sure.
You go to anywhere, any kind of lesser developed country. I hate to use the nomenclature third world country, but that's a lot of
it.
But you go to any lesser developed country and you say ethical killing of animals. You shouldn't eat meat unless it's ethically killed and raised in a free range environment, and they're gonna, I don't care. Give me meat.
Yeah.
I mean, their first consideration is to take care of themselves, to take care of their children, to make sure they've got enough food. Mm-hmm. And so again, it's these sort of first world problems, these luxury problems that we can get. Oh, how was the animal raised? Was it killed in a humane way? Mm-hmm. Was it a free range chicken? So we at my dinner table, my parents, we always joke about things. Oh, I want to make sure my chicken is free range and gluten free.
Oh, wow. Gluten free.
Gluten free chicken. Wow. Right. So I mean, these are issues that are sort of first world. And it makes you, the film comes in and says, we've got this noble thing, we're doing this project in order to, and, it's a wonderful thing to consider about the consider life, the sanctity of all life and all of this kind of thing. And okay, fine. But at what point do the exigencies of human life set in?
Right.
And her relationship with the super pig is wonderful, but, okay, how about the complexity of her at some point recognizing this animal is intended to feed the wider human race?
Yeah.
And isn't it selfish for her to consider her own relationship to this animal?
She's a child, Brayden. She's like 10.
Well, yeah. She's 14.
She's
14.
I'm being selfish. It's just, but it's like, what if my dog, if I was 12 or 14, all right, well, he's 14. She looks like she's 10, but I will say she's 14. What if I was like, I couldn't bear, even if it's like, oh, my dog is being intended for meat, I couldn't say, no, don't. Or like, oh, go take her.
See, that's the thing, is I've seen families, in fact, I actually ate a goat.
Oh, how's that?
It was good, actually.
Okay.
But the point is, there are families who will raise this livestock and children who grow up with this livestock, knowing full well that it is intended to feed people, and they love it. They love the animal. They don't get some sort of sadistic glee out of knowing it eventually will be slaughtered and served to them. No, they love the animal. And I think that's the thing, is they appreciate the animal even more because they grew up with it. And the sacrifice that this animal is making, I think they appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
And so, again, of course, this is small farming things as opposed to the mass farming, which is what I think was the issue going on later in the film. But again, at the beginning of the film, the Miranda Company says, we're going to send out these animals to small farmers, and they're going to use their local farming techniques in order to raise these animals. Mm-hmm. And so where was the bad stuff with all of that? And so, again, the animals were supposed to be raised humanely, treated humanely, and then, I guess the issue came in later because, again, it was sort of like this mass slaughterhouse thing, which is, again, what's so confusing about it is it goes from...
Well, I mean, I think it's like, it's in terms of people, like, the media, because Bong Joon-ho's movies, there's a lot of commentary about corporations and corruption and media even. But, I mean, it's like, be aware, people who, I guess, are eating meat, nothing wrong with that, that's fine, who are being told about, this is these animals are being killed humanely, et cetera, then you realize, they're just saying that to make a quote or, make more money. And it's like, just be aware of that sometimes the media is going to lie to you or companies are going to lie to you about how your product is getting to you.
Yeah.
So it may not be the most blatant, or maybe he didn't communicate that as
that's
wonderfully as he could have, but it's still, I think it's there. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that would be a more important message is corporate accountability. Because again, how this Mirando Super Pig project is set up is it seems incredibly humane and eco-friendly and green and so forth. But then the whole slaughterhouse thing at the end of the film. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, that's sort of one message which gets lost in the whole sort of humane treatment of animals message and all of this kind of stuff. And so that's what confused me is what message does he have going on here?
Yeah.
And it gets so confusing throughout the film because you've got, as I mentioned before, you've got Tilda Swinton. She's playing essentially two characters.
Yeah. She's amazing, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, she's always good in everything. And I liked her in this, but the character gets confusing. Which all the characters get confusing, which I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Other than the little girl and the super pig, Okja and Mija.
Wonderful Okja.
The two of them are very clear cut. Their relationship is very clear cut, and that's the only well defined, lucid sort of thing in the film. But
although I was interested about Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who I mean, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think he's very funny in the movie. So Jake Gyllenhaal plays a very goofy. That is what feels very Miyazakian. The look of his character. Yeah. Kind of goofy, adventurer kind of guy.
Weird. Yeah.
But he plays this a celebrity. Actually, you call it a celebrity TV star who's like an animal lover. Almost like a crocodile hunter type person. Yes. But this guy is like a complete douche. Kind of. So you see both sides to that, but I thought it was very interesting how one party can connect to another in terms of corporations, the media. Mm-hmm. Jake Gyllenhaal's connection to Tilda Swinton, I think, Tilda Swinton. I love the design of her character. She has like the braces and these weird kind of very poofy dresses. Yeah, a very kiddish feel to her. Yeah, which feels a lot like Bong Joon-ho's other movies. And if you haven't seen Snowpiercer, he did Snowpiercer a few years ago. Definitely give that a look. It's fantastic. And then he also did The Host, which is maybe 10 years ago, which is another kind of goofy monster. I mean, this isn't a monster movie, but it's an interesting monster movie. But I think his satire is always interesting. Yeah. He always feels the need to put that in about different things. And like I think, like you said, maybe sometimes it gets a little muddled. I definitely don't think he pulls it off amazingly, but...
Well, I guess the whole theme to the film would be misrepresentation. Yeah. Because it feels as though so many things in the film, I guess that's kind of the theme that ties everything together, is the intent of this project, but then the misrepresentation of the final treatment of the animals. They're not killed in a humane way. It's sort of a
spoiler.
What's the word I'm looking for? Sort of an assembly line killing factory floor abattoir kind of thing. Yeah. But I guess it's misrepresentation because the project is in some way misrepresented. These things are supposed to be eco-friendly, non-GMO, and so forth. When in fact they were created out of some genetic splicing experiment in a laboratory somewhere. So again, this sinister underside of the corporate, this Mirando corporate entity, and then you've got the Paul Dano character, who I quite liked him, and I like him in everything. But then
he was my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. I
He's
liked
hit and
him
miss for
better
me.
than.
Maybe it was just the writing, like his character is like this very proper,
Right.
strict,
Always
leader.
in the suit, and
Yeah,
he's
kinda
got a very
conservative.
strong code of ethics.
Yeah.
And what gets me is, again, he always seems very gentle and
Yeah.
and almost avuncular or fatherly with the young girl with Mija, and
which I liked.
he's wonderful to everybody. And then one of his little Animal Liberation Front cohorts crosses him, and he explodes.
That's the
into
guy from The Walking
violence. Yeah, Stephen Yeun.
Yeah.
And he just explodes into violence. And he bashes the guy's head into a table, throws him on the floor, kicks him a few times,
Great
hits him a
guy.
few times, right?
But it's like
So he puts animals above humans? Is that an ethical thing to do?
that's interesting.
I don't,
hadn't thought of that, yeah.
So again, it's misrepresentation. He seems all sweetness and light with animals and with people who, but then another human crosses him, and he just kaboom, violence, right? And part of the code of ethics for this whole ALF, Animal Liberation Front, I thought was nonviolence. And so rather than just
well, then the
excommunicate this guy from the group, you're gone, don't come back. Well, he excommunicates him, but only after beating the absolute shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
So what message is there? And then the Tilda Swinton character.
Well, I think that's the commentary. Is like, what if you a nonprofit group or a nonviolent group, but then there's probably going to be violence one way or the other, anyways. Even if you're promoting it, behind the scenes, you don't know, and that's another thing. Is like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with this corporation. With Apple, with McDonald's. I don't know. Whoever. And so it could be like the same thing with like those Apple, like the factories.
Right.
There's documentaries about that a while back.
Right.
All these people were being like they put the suicide nets out. For the iPhone factories where so many people were jumping, they had to put these out. And so then, but Apple's this great company. I love them. I love all their products. You know, and so I think it's kind of like that. Oh, but one thing about Paul Dano. It was just like some of the writing of his characters, like I was bringing up, like, you are forever banished from the ALF. And just stuff like that is just maybe a little too goofy.
Well, I mean, okay, but the counterpoint here, Jake Gyllenhaal, his entire character is goofy.
But because it feels completely over the top. Like, there's a scene.
Okay, I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
whereas the Paul Dano character is supposed to be more sort of reserved.
It's like, can't decide.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say about Okja, there's a scene, this parade scene, where they like bring out Okja and Tilda Swinton's there and Jake Gyllenhaal's there, and Jake Gyllenhaal's like there, exciting the crowd, and because everybody loves him, and he's just ridiculous. But there's a scene where Tilda Swinton is talking, and you see Jake Gyllenhaal about maybe 10 or 20 feet behind her, and he's on this rising pedestal. Did you notice this?
Yeah.
Okay, and he's like on his knees, and his arms are out.
Yeah.
And it's out of focus, but you can still see it, and it's kind of slowly spinning
around.
It is
right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where he's on the same pedestal, and he's like kind of almost doing like a model pose, and
Right.
it is amazing. You didn't need to put that in there, but it's so good. But yeah, the one line then you can say is when he's in the cell with Okja, he's like, these animal tasters are a bunch of half-wit, degenerate fucktards.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that is awesome. I loved. I mean, I think the character's kind of divisive.
Yeah.
In terms of people liking him, but I guess since I'm such a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan.
I love him. I like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot too. I think
Yeah.
I think he's great. I really loved him in Nightcrawler. Spectacular.
Yeah.
But I don't know, this character. I guess you're right in the fact that he is sort of a caricature. He is supposed to be this totally over the top, and he really plays it to the hilt.
Definitely.
So he does a good job with the character. It's just that the character is so strange. And again, this is I guess misrepresentation. The character is supposed to be. He built his entire career around his love for animals, and his entire show is about showing how wonderful all these animals are. And then at the end of the film, he's abusing Okja.
Yeah.
And he's throwing bottles at her and taking out he's doing
he's off camera.
like the tissue flesh sampling with this rather
Yeah.
medieval torture device looking prod thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really horrible, you know. And he's drunk, and he's throwing things, and he's cursing, and he's just. I mean, it's
gross.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty abhorrent character.
Yeah.
And so again, I guess misrepresentation there, and but there's so many different things going on in this. You've got the animal lover who beats the shit out of one of his colleagues. You've got the animal lover who abuses animals. You've got the eco-friendly green company, Save the World, Food for Everyone, who did all of this on less than ethical grounds, gene splicing and then their treatment of the animals and all this kind of thing. So, I don't know. I didn't, ultimately, it's not going to turn me into a vegetarian. I am fully aware. I've seen documentaries. I know what goes on.
Yeah.
But the point is, concerns about that are, I think, luxuries that only people in developed countries can have. And as much as I wish perhaps I were more ethical along those lines or something like that. I was, the animals treat. The point is, I'm a human being. I still need to live, and I frankly think human beings, we need to sort our shit out before moving on to other issues.
Yeah.
So.
And like I'm the same way. I've seen all these, kind of slaughterhouse. Oh, actually, before I say that, so apparently Bong Joon-ho did, before he made the movie, or I guess he thought of the idea for the movie, did visit a slaughterhouse and instantly became vegetarian. So clearly, I'm sure, I guess I'm sure most people would if you went there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that was his inspiration for the movie. He's drawing from real things.
Well, that's something that I've always, and this is not to be macabre or anything like that, but I've always kind of wanted to work in a slaughterhouse for a while. Just no, it's not to be macabre. It's not to be disgusting, but to fully confront where this food comes from, because everybody needs to be cognizant of where their food comes from. You can't simply just. There's a book I read, Heat, by Bill Buford, which I think is spectacular. And he talks about how most people, they don't see where a hamburger comes from. They just see it as, I think he talks about it as an elementary kind of thing. So you see hamburger, but you don't see the whole process by which the hamburger arrived at your table.
Yeah.
And so it's not a macabre thing. I would want to work as a butcher in a slaughterhouse so that I can fully confront where that food comes from. But the thing is, I don't know that would dissuade me from eating meat again.
Interesting.
It's simply confronting and being fully aware of what all is entailed in the process of making a steak, of making a chicken cutlet, of whatever. And the thing is, I understand that there is mortality involved in the whole process, and that it's not as, pleasant or clean as we would like to think it is. But the point is, we still need to eat. We still need to live. And
I agree.
It's
I like living.
On a more simple level, I enjoy meat.
Yeah, and I do too. But what I was just saying. So I mean, I've seen plenty of these slaughterhouse documentaries and all these, and so it's not like was completely unaware going into this movie of what.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Anthony Bourdain. So.
Yeah, of course. Animals are being mistreated. What? I didn't know that. But it's just like, hey, why not? This movie made me do it for some reason. I don't know why. And who knows? I'm only a week in here, so it's not like it's changed my life completely. Yeah.
I tried the vegetarian thing actually when I was younger.
Oh yeah,
I did it. Yeah, I think I was full. I was never vegan. I still ate cheese and stuff like that.
Go vegan.
But I was still I was vegetarian for a while when I was living in New York, and after moving back to Chapel Hill. But after a while, I gave it up. I just I wanted the meat again. I liked the animal protein. It tasted good.
Yeah.
And again, it's I think try vegetarianism if it's for you. Fine. Live however you want. Don't try to proselytize me. Don't get my face. Don't get my if somebody's a vegetarian, don't don't get in my face and try to guilt me about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You live how you want to live. I will live how I want to live.
Yeah,
you know.
I know. I hate when. Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah.
If I can do my I can do my thing. You do your thing.
Yeah.
You know.
But
there's merit to both.
yeah, but
one way or the other.
bringing this back to Okja, I think the issue is that there are some more important issues, particularly this deeper issue of misrepresentation, sort of this Janus two-faced thing that so many of the characters and entities, again, the Miranda Corporation being one, and then also Tilda Swinton's character, which is a very conspicuous. You've got the good twin, the bad twin. Now Lucy, the good twin, versus Nancy, the bad twin. And then you've got Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's two-faced. You've got, and so there are these bigger, more interesting, complex themes, but all of that sort of gets lost in
translation.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sort of gets lost under this whole, vegetarianism and animals being slaughtered, and I mean that's not. I don't know that that's the bigger issue. I think the bigger issue is misrepresentation and talking about accountability for actions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think there were a lot of issues that he touched on, and unfortunately there's so many issues, a lot of the stuff sort of gets lost in the mix. So it turns into a stew, and it turns out being a film with so many constituent parts that are so blended together, you don't know what each constituent part is trying to do.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyhow, it's a lot of I think it's a charming film. It was fun to watch, but I think some of the heavy-handed issues, there's so many of them, and a lot of them sort of get lost in the mix, and it's a little difficult picking apart what he was trying to do.
Yeah. I know, but just a few things I liked. I really liked the first 30 minutes where she's just hanging out with Okja, really.
Yeah.
In the forest.
Yeah.
And I really like that scene where Okja sacrifices herself, or seemingly sacrifices herself, in terms of even just the choreography.
Right.
Visually, that was very interesting.
Right.
And it's also just like the first few minutes are very touching. That's where it feels Spielbergian, like E.T. Like,
it was beautiful, and the shot that you're talking about on the cliffside, as I was watching it, it was a very viscerally, sort of emotionally gripping scene. I mean, it was a beautiful scene, and also technically, I couldn't help but wonder how did they do that? That's kind of cool.
I don't know, but and also I don't know what the budget was, but Okja looked fantastic.
Yeah, the special effects for Okja were fantastic.
Like when she's walking through the forest, and there are these like glimmers of light and the shadows and the water. When she's in the water, and the poop scene, the shitting scene was amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like you're just like, because that could be done so badly. That's like if Michael Bay, if Michael Bay did this, it would be horrible.
Yeah.
But Bong Joon-ho, it's like,
why did they need to put a poop scene in there anyway?
You gotta love Okja, And then, but then there's another one later on in the movie that's used.
Yeah.
Which there's kind of the payoff for that, which I liked is just kind of goofy.
I thought the chase scene.
Yeah.
In the underground shopping complex in Seoul, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that, and I mean, that actually had me laughing, particularly towards the end when it busts out with the John Denver.
Yeah, and there's the foot chase. I guess within that where it's in a mall, and Okja's like scrambling around, and you since they are nonviolent, there are a few kind of good jokes where they're like, we don't mean to hurt you, so like stay away. If that did hurt you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he like pulls a guy off of Okja and says, "I'm sorry, we're not violent. We don't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry. Are you okay?" And he's like patting him, making sure he's okay.
Yeah, and so I like that a lot.
It was I thought it was really clever because the guys, it's not here we are with guns and we're going to shoot you, and they come in and they've got tranquilizer guns, right? And so they're shooting little darts. And so what do the animal liberation people do? They pull out umbrellas and open it.
I had forgotten. I love that.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was clever, and
really clever.
This great action sequence, and again, sort of a throwback to a lot of Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki stuff, and just because he's got action sequences, but they're not gory, violent, swords and guns and stabbing and shooting and
Princess
Princess Mononoke,
Mononoke,
yeah,
yeah.
which was actually a spectacular film.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
That
That
one's
was
a little more
a
violent.
bit more.
Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
But like my neighbor Totoro, that's which I brought up a while back.
Yeah, and Spirited Away.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
No violence. There's tension, but he builds up, tension through other means. And Bong Joon-ho does a really spectacular job. I mean, that was honestly one of the more fun action sequences I've seen in a while. Because you've got the guys who are trying to hunt down Okja, and they're shooting pew 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 tranquilizer darts.
Yeah.
And then you've got
and slow motion.
Yeah, the slow motion. They open up their umbrellas, and then John Denver comes in.
Yeah.
And I forget what that song is, but it was so goofy, cute that
Childlike.
it was fun to watch. And so there are some really spectacular things. I mean, technically, and some really really spectacular things in terms of the direction and so forth. It's just the message. What's the message? What is he trying to say? And that gets a little confusing.
And one thing with the nonviolent ALF group is it's almost like a satire in some ways, because there's like that general consensus that vegetarians are like these wimpy, won't fight, just no muscle mass, just stuff like that. And so it's kind of playing into that. Oh yeah, we aren't going to hurt you, but we'll find some other way to take you down.
Yeah.
And there is one interesting character within that group that's refuses to eat anything, and it's just like, because he
wants to leave his little footprint, footprint or whatever they call it, as possible.
Yeah, and that's like the extreme version, which I'm sure there are some people like that out there, in one way or the other. But yeah, it's, and I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, and although I know it's maybe not the most inventive thing in the world, I really do like, and it's this in Snowpiercer, Bong Joon-ho's depiction of corporations, because it's like usually very gray and drab. It's still, for some reason, it's very interesting, because since a lot of his satire and commentary is already over the top and a little goofy, it makes sense, it fits. Whereas most other movies do that, and it just feels kind of tired and uninspired. But I liked, the parts that it was there, I liked that part.
Well, that was a weird thing. Is again, it was very confusing, because you had Tilda Swinton, who was trying to do this noble thing, which is provide food for the better part of the world. Everybody needs food.
Yeah.
So that's a noble thing, but then anytime you deal with the corporation, a lot of these people were terrible. Like her weird squeaky voice little aide, who I don't know who that woman is, but I've seen her before.
That's Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning Myrtle. Yes.
Okay,
that's who that was.
I was like, she can't get. Every time I see that actress, I can't. She sounds like Moaning Myrtle. And so, but yeah, she's fine. Yeah.
But so many of these people, all these people affiliated with the corporation, they present this sort of sweetness and love facade, and then anytime they're pressed, they turn into these horrible, wretched hags, and they're just, I'm so angry, and then of course there's the one fellow, Frank, who is sort of a double agent, right?
Yeah.
The one fellow who continues on the Miranda board, but it turns out he's been
I know.
Playing the game this whole time to get the evil twin sister Nancy back in power and that kind of thing. And so, everybody at the corporation is sort of two-faced. What really got me, what I thought was sort of clever, was it reminded me a lot of Brazil, actually.
Oh, yeah.
The film Brazil, Terry Gilliam's film, was the scene where Mija goes to Seoul and tries to get into the Miranda headquarters in Seoul.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's one secretary sitting in all this glass and neon office, and the door is locked, and Mija can't get in, and the secretary says, you got to use the phone if you want to talk to me, and she picks up the phone, and it's an automated thing, and she can't get anybody on the phone, so eventually she decides she's just going to smash through the glass windows.
Yeah.
Which she does, but, again, all these depictions of this corporation as sort of this horrible entity and all this kind of thing, which... Okay, fine. We all love to bash corporations. Oh, they're so evil. But but I don't know. I mean, again, it's confusing because Lucy Miranda wants the corporation to head in a more accountable direction. And is that necessarily a bad thing? Shouldn't we hold judgment until I just keep thinking of Starbucks actually owning up and saying, okay, we're going to pay a lot of back. We owe a lot more taxes than we should, so we're going to pay that, right? Big kudos to them.
Yeah, cool.
Right? And so, I think corporations can move in a more ethical direction. I think they should be given the opportunity to. And I don't know. Bong Joon-ho, his depiction of them, whether that's simply playing up corporation because it's an easy villain, is it a good thing because it eggs them on to do that, or is it a bad thing because it just solidifies this mindset that big business is bad?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyhow, food for thought. Again, the message gets lost.
Pun intended.
Boom. I didn't even realize that. But it's I guess what I'm trying to say is he tries to tackle a lot of very weighty issues, but there's so many of them, and so many of them are at cross purposes. It gets
it's a lot. Because there's a lot of different tones, a lot of different genres.
Right.
And it's kind of like this throughout his movies. So Snowpiercer's action, but it's also a very over-the-top satire.
Yeah.
The host is a commentary on corporations and almost like a Godzilla-esque type thing. And then, but it's also an action movie. It's comedy, and so I agree. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I guess just for the most part, it didn't really affect me that much in terms of my dislike for it. And I mean, it's there are a couple points where it got maybe dragged a little bit for me, but usually there was still something there to keep me going with it. One thing I did want to bring up, I was talking about this with a fellow barista the other day. What do you think about the Netflix distribution of this? Do you think that's like a wise thing, or do you think that's because there's the huge controversy at Cannes when this premiered, with like Tilda Swinton and Bong Joon-ho were they were being like accused of all these different things, and there was a very heated discussion apparently. And so I don't mind it being released on Netflix. I think it's small enough movie where that works. Yeah. But there's the whole thing about being up for Oscars, right? Which is the issue, because Beasts of No Nation had that same issue. The Idris Elba.
Didn't The Square, also the documentary about Tahrir Square in Egypt, wasn't that also nominated for Best Documentary a year or two ago?
That may have been, yeah.
And I think it won, actually.
Yeah. But I don't know if this one is up for Oscars, because it does have a very limited theatrical release, but I think sometimes that may not even do it. I think it's definitely deserving of things, or at least I hope it's up for contention. Right. But because then there's like, do you know about Martin Scorsese's next movie? No. That's going to be on Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah, and so.
I did see something about that.
It's called The Irishman. Yeah. And apparently the budget is $130 million. Oh, yeah. And Netflix bought it for like $99 or $100 million. And it's like, that's going to be on Netflix. Yeah. And so instead of seeing like The Wolf of Wall Street in a theater, or I guess Silence last year, or
stream it over,
or Goodfellas, you're going to be seeing that on your TV more than likely. And so that's going to be strange, that one in particular. This one, I think it works. Well, but as long as they're all up for Oscars or awards of some kind, I hope that's.
I mean, working in a theater, and my father having run a theater for so long, I think it's awful because it's gutting the theater industry. Oh yeah. Cinema is no longer just cinema now. Everybody stays home. They get the huge plasma TV. They've got the surround sound at home. They would just watch stuff at home. So the beauty, the charm, the elegance of actually going to a theater is somewhat getting lost.
Yeah, and that's one thing I don't think people are really talking about with it. They're talking about Okja should be up for Oscars, not why aren't people showing this in a theater so theaters can do well and people should go see it in a theater, which I'm sure it would be good in a theater. Yeah.
But
I would agree, though. Yeah, it is hurting them. One way or the other.
I mean, the problem is there's a lot of convenience to films on Netflix. You can watch it anytime you want. You can pause it, get up, go to the bathroom.
You don't have fucking people talking.
Yeah, you don't have people talking on their cell phones. Don't even get me started on that. I think that's why a lot of a lot of why people are sort of eschewing movie theaters now and staying at home to watch stuff on their Netflix is because
Everybody's talking.
everybody, their phones. Get off your damn phone.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah. It's not that. It's 2 hours. Get it off.
If you're a doctor, fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the world's not going to end if you don't answer your phone.
Mm-hmm. And it's the attention span. They can't help but look. It's not that they're just getting a message. It's like, nope, gotta check Facebook.
Gotta check Facebook.
Which, I mean, sometimes I'll even, not in a theater, but I even like that at times. I'm so, like, oh yeah, gotta check my phone. And so I'm not, like, we're not at fault here, but, like, in the theater, people turn off your fucking phone.
Yeah.
And just...
Shut up. Turn off your phone.
Shut up.
I understand you're going to make a little noise opening the Raisinets, eating the popcorn, but try to minimize it.
Okay, so I was here the other day seeing something. I guess talking about next week maybe. There was a woman kind of diagonally behind me who I don't know what she was eating. Y'all have got to stop selling do you have Twizzlers here?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was that because every time she would eat one, it would.
Really?
And she did it for about the first half of the movie, and it was horrible.
The cellophane or something,
and there was,
right?
it's a very quiet movie, and it was awful. But it's stuff like that I cannot stand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a certain amount of it you've got to. I mean, there's nothing really you can do about the cellophane. I try to. Anytime I go to a movie, I tend to get the Reese's Pieces. I love my Reese's Pieces.
I do too.
But the friggin' wrappers. I guess the big thing to do about that would be, candy companies, stop using the plastic fucking wrappers. that's all there is to it.
Be eco-friendly,
Yeah, I don't know.
guys.
Find something else that's not going to make all that noise.
Or guys, bring a cup and just pour it all in there.
That's a good idea.
I mean, here we're bitching about.
It's seemingly dumb shit, but honestly,
sound like
part of
old men here, but it's so true.
Part of the movie experience is being engrossed in it. That's why I like going to the movies. That's why I'll watch something. Netflix does some really good stuff. I've been watching Glow, which I think is a spectacular series, but Netflix has done some very good stuff. But the reason to go to a movie theater is the larger than life experience.
Yeah.
It's there on the big screen. It's dark, it's immersive, right? And so that's the whole point to that is the immersive quality to it. And unfortunately, everybody checking their phone, talking to their friends, all the excess noise, that pulls you out of that immersive quality to it. Yeah. And I think that's something you're not going to get at home is that immersion. That's why theaters, I think, are still wonderful things and why people should still go to movie theaters.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and so we'll probably try and make a point of it on every show. Go see these things in theaters. Don't wait for the DVD, the Blu-ray, the 4K. The 4K is great.
Yeah.
I would agree, and I again with the awards issue shit. I mean, I do hope it's in contention and it's not just it's on Netflix. It's not. That's stupid.
Yeah, I don't think they should be disqualified from awards because of the distribution. I think there is a possibility for theaters to coexist with Netflix, but I mean, it's undeniable that Netflix has had a tremendous impact on the theater industry, not necessarily the film industry, although I'm sure they're probably, I haven't had firsthand experience with that, but definitely on the theater industry. Everybody just waits for things to come out on Netflix now.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's more convenient to watch it on Netflix, yes. The reason I keep Netflix is not necessarily to watch the films, but for the original programming that it puts out.
Yeah.
But if there's a film and it's in the theater, watch it in the theater. It's just you have to be maybe wait a couple weeks until the crowds have died down a bit. Maybe try to see it in a matinee where it's going to be fewer people. So you have to be a little selective about the time you go. Don't go that opening night when the movie is just jam-packed with people.
Yeah.
But theaters offer an immersion that you don't get at home.
Yeah.
But as to awards, I don't know that the outlet of the distribution outlet should necessarily have any impact on consideration of a film for awards.
Yeah.
So if a film is good, it's good regardless of whether it's on Netflix or in the theaters.
Yeah. I mean, because there are those movies like Manchester by the Sea that was produced by Amazon.
Yeah.
But then it got to have a wide theatrical release, and so it got up for Oscars, and it obviously won a ton. But yeah, so I'm hoping Okja's up there. even if you didn't love it, but yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't get. But yeah, do you think we're ever going to be seeing like Marvel movies on Netflix?
I don't think so.
Or a Star Wars movie? There's going to what would you be okay with Episode 12
No,
of Star Wars?
absolutely
being
not.
on Netflix.
Certain things you have to see in the theater,
Yeah.
like The Dark Tower.
Oh yeah.
If it was on Netflix, I would have an absolute shit fit.
Mm-hmm.
Any Star Wars movie, the new Blade Runner film coming out, Planet of the Apes,
Oh yeah, that's gonna be
right?
great.
They need to be on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Those absolutely must be on the big screen.
Yeah.
Again, because of the immersive quality, because it pulls you more into that story, and it makes these stories which are meant to be larger than life. It makes them larger than life because they are literally larger than life. You know, You've got like a 12-foot tall Woody Harrelson coming at you, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, certain things must be seen. I wouldn't have watched any of the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Netflix. Screw that.
Yeah, fuck that.
You know, I'll watch it on there now, but only after I've seen it in the theater. So once you have that experience in the theater, do whatever you want. You know, you can DVD, Blu-rays, stream, whatever. But go watch it in the theater because nothing beats watching those really big, larger-than-life mythologies, legends in the theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But like with Mad Max Fury Road,
Yeah.
I could have watched that at home, and I do all the time.
Yeah.
And I would have loved it still. But like seeing something like that in a theater, you can't get that unless you have the home theater, obviously. But something like that, you just can't get the same experience if you don't see it in a theater usually.
Right.
And a lot of the Marvel movies are, Dunkirk, which we'll be talking about in a little bit about something. But yeah, so I go see movies in theaters, people. Don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not made of money either.
No.
I'm a barista. I'm not rich here. I can still go see a movie every once in a while. So go do that, please. But yeah. So any other thoughts about Okja, Braden?
No, I mean, it was very much like a Miyazaki film, which I love the Miyazaki films. But the thing is, the Miyazaki films in terms of their message, when he has a message, a lot of times it's just a beautiful flight of fancy kind of thing. Like I'm thinking Spirited Away, which was just sort of old legends and mythology from Japan. Porco Rosso.
I haven't seen that one.
Right.
That's one I haven't seen yet.
What is it? Cagliostro, the Flying Castle.
I haven't seen that one either.
Those are all. They're just beautiful children's fantasies.
Yeah.
And the few films that he does have with messages, I haven't seen The Wind Also Rises. I really need to send that.
The Wind Rises, yeah.
The Wind Rises.
Yeah, I
yeah.
loved it. It's off. Yeah,
It's
I really
supposed to be
liked it.
spectacular.
Because he loves planes.
Yeah.
Or aviation, not just planes, aviation in general. And so
Yeah.
there's usually aviation in all of his movies.
But The Wind Rises and Princess Mononoke, those have messages, but his messages are very clear. And Bong Joon-ho, trying to capture some of the essence of the Miyazaki films, he does that in terms of the storytelling, but in terms of the message, it gets a little too convoluted. So I think ultimately that's sort of the issue.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm about out of stuff. What are you going to give it out of 4?
Out of 4, that's a tough call. In some ways, I found it remarkable. In other ways, not so much. I'd give it 2.5 out of 4, maybe.
2.5. All right.
2.5, maybe
I'll-
3.
I'll go 4. I'll go
You'll
big
go
fat 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not perfect. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of other movies that will beat it out this year, but
4 out of 4?
4 out of fucking 4.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a ballsy move.
Yeah, I feel alive.
Okay.
I feel, yeah. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed that. So now we can do got a few discussion topics. I guess we can call it a roundtable discussion, even though the table we're at is square.
So it's a folding card table.
Square table discussion. So there's actually it's actually just what we were just, or actually no, we'll leave that for later. So there's a bunch of new trailers this week, Brayden. You haven't seen many of them, but I'll just kind of go through them. So there's the Jumanji remake
with The Rock
and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
And Jack Black.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
And so they released the trailer. It's coming out in December, which, God, why? Of all movies, you pick that for December. Like, ugh. But so the movie did look pretty bad. I guess it's called Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. And it's like these 4 kids who find the Jumanji game, and then they all of a sudden transported into the world and play avatars, which are played by the main actors, which we just listed. And I did not find the trailer very funny, but Jack Black was actually pretty good.
He's good in everything.
I'll see the movie for
fun.
Jack Black, but otherwise it looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Directed by the guy who did it was some shitty fucking comedy. Maybe Sex Tape, or no, it was what's the bad? Is it Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz?
Oh, with Cameron Diaz, yeah.
It's that guy.
Yeah, so, the other one with Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel.
Another bad one. So brilliant films. Guy's got a great filmography.
He's got quite the pedigree.
Killing it again with this one. Doesn't look very good. I mean, I'll see it probably, especially if I'm doing this podcast. But yeah, I mean, maybe give it a look. I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't jump out of your seat though. Stay for Jack. Go for The Rock. All the people who love The Rock, stay for Jack Black. Yeah,
I mean, I gotta say, I do like The Rock. I think he does.
All right
he's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that photo? The little video of that guy who stopped at a stoplight to take a selfie with him?
No.
Yeah. So there's this guy who The Rock was at a stoplight in his car, and I guess this trucker saw him. This young guy, not like an older guy. And he like runs over at a stoplight and takes a selfie with him at the side of his car as all these cars are coming. And so he's like, "Oh, you got to take it." And so I mean, The Rock is a really nice guy.
He is. He's actually.
But yeah,
everything that I've read. I mean, I haven't personally met the guy, but everything that I've read about him, he's actually very accommodating with fans, and a great guy to meet. Very nice.
Don't know if he deserves all that money, be the highest paid actor in the world, but who does?
Who does?
Maybe I don't know.
I would have said Philip Seymour Hoffman a few years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Casey Affleck, maybe?
Well, what about that whole harassment, assault? Well, now you're in the hot water, Brayden. You see that eye roll of Brie Larson at the Oscars?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I love Casey Affleck. I mean,
I think he's a great actor, but, okay. You're right. I mean, there's some pretty despicable stuff.
Maybe there was. Maybe give it to
Michael Fassbender, same issue, right?
Ooh. Oh yeah, I guess Michael Fassbender's had some stuff.
Right. So what is it with good actors being just absolute?
I don't know. They have to bring the emotion.
They
bring it out offset.
I don't know. Joaquin Phoenix, he hasn't gotten into trouble as far as I know.
Well, he had that pretty weird period where he retired.
Well, that's when he did He's Not Here.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, was directed by Casey Affleck. But I mean, that was all... I mean, they've come clean since and said that period was all very much a stage.
Yeah.
It was intended to be sort of strange. But I guess it's sort of a performance art piece or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was all very strange, but, I can't keep up with these guys. They're far too creative and artistic for me.
Yeah.
For my small mind. And, but I don't know. Jumanji. Why?
I don't know. But apparently there are some homages to Robin Williams, which
that's always nice.
That feels like an obligation more than anything. But it's nice they're doing it. At least.
The first film was fun. I don't know why they.
Kid, I think.
Really?
Maybe.
Just all the animals and the big
weird.
Scary guy
with
the big sniper rifle running around.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that. Blade Runner, honestly, it's kind of funny. Blade Runner scared me shitless as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never saw it until a couple years ago.
Well, the scene at the end with Daryl Hannah as Chris, creepy.
Oh, yeah.
It creeped me out immensely as a kid, but then I revisited the film as a teenager, watched it, and fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. So,
Conquering Your Fears. Huzzah.
Yeah.
But I don't even. It's again one of those situations where why do you need to make a second one? And I guess it's just because it's a property that did fairly well the first time around, and so you're just gonna try to, bank on it again.
It's like Baywatch. Why?
Yeah, why?
I mean, it
Horrible.
did
That
well.
flopped.
Oh yeah, and
That
critically and
flopped.
financially.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's clearly
Huge flop.
Like the summer, I'm hoping Hollywood is like getting this. Stop doing this.
Yeah.
I don't care about reboots, remakes, sequels, spinoffs.
Well,
do something original, at least, which I guess is Baby Driver, but
yeah.
do something more. Do more original stuff if you can.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, let's look at some of these films. RoboCop, they redid that.
Did
Flop.
poorly,
right?
and The Mummy flopped.
It's
gonna lose 100
And that's supposed to be sort of the
Stepping
kickoff
off
to
point.
their whole
Yeah.
Universal monster revamp thing.
And I don't know.
Horrible piece of
Yeah,
dreck.
yeah. I don't even know if Alien Covenant did that well. I don't think it did well critically mostly.
It
but
did well, pretty critically. It was more or less pretty decent, but
Wonder
in terms
Woman's
of
doing
money,
very well though.
yeah, Wonder Woman's doing very well as it should. I mean, it was actually a pretty good film, and thank God, sort of DC redeemed itself somewhat with that. But what else are we thinking? Baywatch, which was horrible, flopped. Right, the Ghostbusters thing,
Oh, that did bad.
which
Yeah.
was
It's
flopped.
yeah, which isn't like there's that whole controversy around it. It's not like the worst
Well-
film in the world, but it flopped hard.
I
so.
mean, it's I don't even know that I don't know that we should even touch that because there's a lot of issues around the gender
we'll go into that some
thing
other
of the
time.
film, which that was the gender thing is irrelevant. So if you're judging the film, it should be judged on its merits. If it's a remake of the Ghostbusters film with 4 women as the main
I love
characters,
that.
who cares?
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that cast.
Yeah.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig. I mean, just the whole cast. Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones.
Yeah, Leslie Jones.
They're great. All of them.
And then just people, because all these Ghostbusters fans got butthurt about this, and it's just so stupid.
Oh, you can't redo.
I mean, not a
thing.
great
It's a
movie,
classic
but
and blah 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 blah.
Not. I'd say it's more the writing and Paul Feig.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
So, and just an unnecessary movie.
Yeah.
In general.
Right. Exactly. I mean, why do you need to do it again, regardless of who's in those main character roles? Why? Why redo RoboCop? Why dredge up Baywatch? Chips.
Oh, that's another one that did horrible, financially and critically.
What?
And then
Who came up with the idea? Let's do Chips.
I got a good idea.
Let's do Chips.
I saw this weird show the other day.
Yeah, right. I mean, what else was there? Starsky and Hutch.
Oh yeah,
They did not one but 2 films, didn't they? Starsky and Hutch. Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
I think only one. Maybe.
Did they do only the one?
Maybe.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
But taking these really just awful television properties and turning them into films, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a horrible piece of shit.
Yeah.
The only ones I can think of that have actually done anything decently and have actually been watchable, 21 Jump Street.
Oh yeah, those have done well.
Yeah, those have done well, and they were actually kind of fun.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the first one in particular.
But I think largely because they sort of moved away from. Well, did they? I mean, a lot of these other films like Chips and all this kind of stuff moved away from the source material. Usually, but they're still just terrible.
Awful. Yeah. And then I guess the Ghost in the Shell remake did terribly.
Yeah.
At least I think critics it was okay.
Well,
I enjoyed it, but financially it did bad. It was like lost a ton of money, I think.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And so we'll see how War for the Planet of the Apes does. I think that's supposed to be doing decently well.
The other films in the series,
Rise and Dawn.
Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes,
They did
right?
well.
They did, financially pretty well. They did critically very well.
I'm sure Spider-Man: Homecoming will do really well.
Yeah. So, I just don't understand why they keep dredging it, and why bring back Jumanji? And again, that's my question. Blade Runner, why?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Not super excited about the Jumanji. not.
I don't know if many people are.
I didn't see the original film in the theater, but I have watched it on television, and it was fun. It was fun. Mm-hmm. Is it worthy of a sequel? Absolutely not.
With The Rock?
With The Rock, absolutely
And
not.
Jack Black?
And Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Oh, I hate Kevin.
Yeah, I really.
He's the most tiring, aggravating actor out there.
He really is. Those
like
things.
in small doses, like an early part of his career, I liked him. Like in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, there's that one scene with him, which is very funny. But then after that, you don't want him there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just small bits.
Yeah.
But now he's in 10 movies every year, and it's awful. Awful.
Jack Black, you know, I wish he would be doing more these days, but now, first thing he's done that I can think of that he's done in a while, that's not just Kung Fu Panda voiceover work, is Jumanji 2, which why? I don't know.
He has some new Sundance movie coming out at some point.
He?
I think it might be on Netflix, actually. That might be.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's not very good. There was a new Logan Lucky, the new Steven Soderbergh movie. They
with
released a new trailer.
Channing Tatum, Adam Driver,
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks, and both trailers I thought looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven Soderbergh. So he directed
Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13.
The Informant, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
Contagion, Magic Mike.
Side Effects. He did Traffic.
Yeah. So brief backstory.
He did Girlfriend Experience with Sasha Grey.
I have not seen that yet.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it either.
There's no Blu-ray for it, so I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie it comes out in August. Looks very fun. It's like this kind of southern NASCAR, not like not Talladega Nights, but it's kind of around this.
Rednecks rob NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's kind of the premise. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. And Steven Soderbergh did say he was retiring, but now he's back. And probably will stay around for a while.
Yeah, you got to make those movies, get that money.
Can't help it.
Get that paper.
Yeah. There's one more, and then we'll go on some other stuff. So this movie that showed at Sundance, which my sister, who I went with, saw like the first 10 minutes of, but then she had to come out for, it's just a long story. But it's this, Ingrid Goes West is this, have you heard about this?
No, I haven't heard about this.
So it's this indie, the kind of dark comedy with Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Recreation.
Oh, yeah, she was in Legion.
Yes.
On FX, yeah.
Yes, and Elizabeth Olsen, who's was in Godzilla, and she's Scarlet Witch in the Marvel films.
Yeah,
who I really like.
The one that I really want to see her in, which everybody tells me she's spectacular in, is Martha something. I forget what it's called, but she's in a cult, and it's about her character sort of trying to get out of this cult and adjust to life outside the cult. But it's supposed to be a spectacular film, and she's in it. She plays the title character. Marcy May, something like that.
Yeah.
But, if a listener happens to know, obviously you can let us know. I can look it up on the IMDb, but I'm just too lazy to do so right now. But it's 4 women's names all starting with M in a row. But Elizabeth Olsen's supposed to be quite good in that. So I want to catch that. But, I have liked her. I didn't see Godzilla, but I have, she's been good. Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And,
but it's this Aubrey Plaza is this kind of unstable social media kind of hound girl, and she is obsessed with this Elizabeth Olsen character who's a Instagram star, and she travels across, I guess, the country to California to try and be her best friend. Weird. And it looks so strange, and I think, but the two of them together in the trailer looked very good.
Yeah.
And they released a poster for it, and it was like Inherent Vice almost. The posters for Inherent Vice. And I don't know, it looks like a really interesting, I think it comes out in August as well, so there's some cool movies coming out in August. But yeah, if you haven't checked out that trailer and you're wanting an interesting indie movie coming up, check that out. Ingrid Goes West.
Ingrid Goes West.
And there's plenty of other ones, like the Death Note Netflix movie doesn't look very good.
I don't know.
It looks bad.
All these live action adaptations of anime series. I don't know.
Yeah. And One thing we'll note is the passing of actor Michael Nyqvist, who is the Swedish main character in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, which movies I love. And he was also the villain in John Wick.
Oh, okay.
And he was also the villain in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. But he just suddenly passed away from lung cancer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, what was it? Cobalt or something.
Yeah.
Ghost Protocol.
And so he had done some American films, but yeah, he apparently just died at like maybe 56, I think, from lung cancer a few days ago, just suddenly. So yeah, sorry to condolences to him and his family, and I'll miss. And will hold those movies in high esteem.
Yeah. I quite liked the Swedish version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He was great, and Noomi Rapace was awesome in it. And so it's a shame. It's a shame that he's gone because he was quite a good actor. Unfortunately, we didn't see as much of him here in America as we probably should have. But
so there's, I guess, a few things. But so are you going to go see Dunkirk in the 70mm format? So it's the movie Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan. We were talking about this before the show. Being released like The Hateful Eight in this very classic wide 70mm format, and it's getting this huge release. And Braden, what are your thoughts? You love this, right? You're.
I don't know. I find it a little gimmicky. 70mm. Honestly, from what I understand, I might be wrong, but from what I understand, a lot of these theaters are having to retrofit their projection equipment with 70mm projection because nobody has it anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone digital. And most distributors...
Go digital.
Most distributors don't put film out on 70mm. The only reason they've done this is because of the cachet that directors like Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan have. They've got a large enough audience that they can put it out, and that the distributors will agree to this, and then the distributors can force these theaters to install this equipment. So a small theater like us, we wouldn't be able to play them. We wouldn't recoup enough money to cover the cost of the installation for all this equipment. Yeah. So again, these guys, Quentin Tarantino particularly, who made a lot of his name, he got a lot of his recognition through his earlier films, particularly Reservoir Dogs, which I still hold as his biggest film. In smaller theaters. I think we played Reservoir Dogs here at the Chelsea. And now he's putting out stuff like The Hateful Eight with 70mm. We can't, that puts us completely out of the running. We can't go back and retrofit our projection equipment with 70mm. Yeah. Too costly. And so I wonder if these guys have even considered in the slightest. I don't think they care.
I don't think they do either.
I don't think they care.
I love Nolan.
They want to. He cares. It's this whole bullshit artistic integrity thing, but they don't consider about
the little people.
Sort of the end.
The people behind the
end user of the product.
Cameras, yeah.
So if it winds up only at the multiplexes,
who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit?
Fuck it.
So I don't know. Again, obviously I'm biased. They've got their, I'm only going to show it on 70mm because, but I think it's very strange because the technology has moved to the point where it's gone the way of the dodo. It's extinct. And so why there are still these people who cling so tenaciously to actual film stock. It's totally beyond me. And why they couldn't film it on film stock and then do a digital transfer. Okay, why can't you do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So I'm not a tech head.
So a lot of questions, a lot of considerations. I don't know, but if they weren't putting out such good films, I'd be more bitter about it.
Yeah. Damn it, Christopher Nolan.
Damn you, Christopher Nolan.
Worst filmmaker.
Yeah. I have to admit, I love Memento, Inception, Dark Knight trilogy, of course. Interstellar, which I just saw recently, was pretty good. And I'm sure Dunkirk is going to be spectacular.
Going to be people. If this is one trailer, if you haven't seen the Dunkirk trailer, go watch that right now. Yeah. Stop listening to this.
Yeah.
And turn us off and go watch the Dunkirk trailer. Yep. And it's going to be amazing. set your calendars. 70 millimeter screenings or not. And sorry, there's some weird thing going on outside our theater, but yeah. So I kind of already blanked on what we were talking about, but
Dunkirk, upcoming things, trailers.
yeah. Well, and Atomic Blonde. That's another. We won't go into it just because we're running out of time here. But with Charlize Theron coming out at the end of the month, give Atomic Blonde a look for sure. It's like a female John Wick, but Charlize Theron is amazing, so it's going to be the best.
They keep saying female Bond, and I keep thinking that's not right.
I'd say more John Wick.
Yeah,
or Bourne in a way almost.
Or Bourne.
Yeah,
maybe.
But
although I think
Wick.
this is more substance, more style-y and substance-y. And the Bourne thing, there was a lot of cloak and dagger, intelligence, operative-y kind of stuff, so which was fascinating. But this looks more action-y, whereas Bourne was punctuated with action, and the Bond is more, well, I mean, Bond is a lot of style over substance, but
so give Logan Lucky a look. Ingrid Goes West, Atomic Blonde, Dunkirk. Give all those a look when you have some off time from your many activities, wherever you're listening to us. Hi. Slightly, but it's okay. No worries. Sorry, we had a
brief visitor, Sarah.
Who's that?
Sarah.
Oh,
one of the employees here at the job.
People
are showing up for work.
Hi, Sarah. Shit. There was one thing I was going to bring up. I can't remember what it is. There was one thing. Maybe it's a new segment of our show. I guess that's what we just did. But like a recommend of something that you've been watching on your off time besides what you've been doing for the podcast that you would recommend to listeners, maybe on Netflix or Amazon or.
Absolutely, Glow. I mean, no question about it. I wasn't sure what to think. I mean, Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, throwback to the old television show. This takes a very different approach to it and sort of a gritty, dramatic take on the women involved in the show. And I think it's all fictional, but it's really spectacular to watch. The characters in it are all very well defined. The actors, particularly spectacular performances by Mark Maron and Alison Brie in it. And the actress that plays Debbie, and I don't know her name off the top of my head, which is a shame because she's also spectacular. But I mean, the whole cast is really awesome to watch, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm 9 episodes in now, and I mean, it's really spectacular. So
yeah, I'll have to give that a look.
What have you been watching, Henry?
Fucking just garbage on TV.
Garbage on TV. Yeah, it's pretty dry season on TV right now.
Since Despicable Me 3
I found out just recently, Preacher. Have you heard of that?
I've seen the pilot. Have not seen anything else.
I haven't watched it, but it was put together by Seth Rogen, which I thought was interesting. And it's based on a comic book property, a bunch of supernatural stuff and all that kind of thing. But I just found out recently, the girlfriend of the main character, of the preacher character in the show, is played by Ruth Negga.
Yeah.
Who is amazing. She was so good and loving. And now I really want to watch it.
And you've actually just completely... So the other day I caught Loving on HBO. I've seen the movie many times already. That's one. That's be my recommend for the week. Is it might be on Amazon also. Watch Jeff Nichols' Loving from last year with Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga. It is absolutely amazing.
It's brilliant. It's a beautiful story.
And if you don't love it on the first watch, I know some people who didn't. Give it another look. It's. And Ruth Negga is absolutely amazing. Like her how she emotes with even just with her eyes is
I mean, she's beautiful and her eyes are just astoundingly gorgeous.
So
it's amazing.
If you got HBO, give that a look. And I've just had like Despicable Me movies on TV and all that shit.
Why do you subject yourself to that?
I don't know. Phone's ringing. And shit, there was one more thing. I'm gonna try and blunt it.
So nothing really spectacular that you're watching on the tube right now, or on Netflix.
No shows. I'm so tired of TV shows. There are too many. Oh, shit, there was one more. I did rewatch Rise of the Planet of the Apes the other day.
Oh, really?
Which is not, it's not on
That's
Netflix.
the first one.
The first one from 2011.
James Franco
and
and
even if you've never
John
seen any,
Lithgow.
yeah,
Yeah.
even if you've never seen the originals or have very little knowledge, give that a look because the new one's coming out in next week, I guess. And it's very good. You'll be surprised about how good it is. Even if you have no interest, give it a look. And there's also Dawn of Planet of the Apes. That's another good one.
They're both really excellent films.
And even if you don't see them, go see War. I don't think you even really need to have seen the first two.
Probably not. I mean, it gives you probably more context, and you see the sort of the chronology from how the apes came by this super intelligence to the spread of this intelligence among the apes to finally their fight for survival against a frightened humanity. So the first two films are probably not required watching, but will give you better context.
Yeah. So Loving and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Check out those two if you haven't yet. Particularly Loving. It's amazing. But all right. I think that's about all we got. We hope any technical issues, it's not too noticeable. We're still getting our gears going, really.
Only a third episode.
Yeah. Only a third one. But we hope you'll be sticking with us. So next week, we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming, more than likely. And then maybe Sofia Coppola's The Beguiled as well. And if there's some other, maybe we might do another retro review as well of something connected to one of those. Maybe maybe Lost in Translation, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. Some classic review that you can check out when you're at home on Netflix or something.
Right.
And we should have a guest with us next week. And actually maybe even two, we'll see. But one guy, at least over Skype, who's a huge comic book head. And so hopefully that'll all work out and he'll be here to give his thoughts and everything. But yeah, so Braden, thank you so much.
Sure, thanks for having me yet again.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. And all right, we'll see you next week.